I woke up to the sound of laughter echoing through our apartment. Ethan's obnoxious voice carried into my room. "Happy birthday, man. You actually look older today," he teased. I groaned, pulling the blanket over my head. "Thanks, Ethan. Really needed that boost." "No, seriously. You're like fine wine. But not the expensive kind. More like boxed wine," Liam added, chuckling. "Boxed wine," I muttered. "Is that supposed to make me feel better?" Noah snorted. "I think it's a compliment. Kind of. Maybe. Who even knows with you guys?" I laughed, shaking my head. I should have expected this. They continued their banter as I made my way to the kitchen. Cups clinked, toast popped, and somewhere between Liam talking about his new project and Ethan bragging about his gym routine, I felt my mood waver. Then the conversation took a sharp turn. "And then she dumped me for some guy at her work," Ethan said casually. Liam laughed. "Oh, that reminds me of Jessica. I never got over her. Honestly, I still think about her sometimes." I froze mid-step. Both of them were just casually throwing their past relationships into the room like it was some trivia game. My chest tightened. "Yeah, my ex cheated on me," Noah added with a shrug. "But it's fine, whatever." I wanted to say something, but the words got stuck. The air felt heavy. That's when Sophie walked in. "Happy birthday," she said brightly, holding a small bouquet of flowers. Her eyes scanned the room and landed on me. I could see it, slight irritation, maybe jealousy, flickering across her face. I smiled weakly. "Thanks, sophomore, glad you're here." She tilted her head, eyes narrowing slightly. "Why do they always bring up their exes? On your birthday?" I shrugged, grateful for her presence. "Ethan and Liam. They don't really think about how it affects anyone else." Sophie crossed her arms, stepping closer. "Well, I do. And I don't like it." Ethan chuckled nervously. "We're just talking, sophomore, don't take it so seriously." Liam added, "Yeah, we didn't mean." "Enough," Sophie interrupted, her voice calm but firm. "It's his birthday. Show some respect." The room went silent. Even Noah, usually immune to confrontation, looked down at his shoes. I felt my chest loosen slightly, the tension melting just a bit. Sophie's words had a way of cutting through the nonsense, grounding me. "Thanks," I whispered. "I needed that." She smiled softly and reached for my hand. "I've got you. Always." I could feel the weight of the morning lifting. But deep down, I sensed that her words had stirred something else, something that might make today more complicated than I expected. Ethan shifted uncomfortably, Liam avoided eye contact, and Noah just stared at the floor. I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. But for the first time that morning, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I could face it, with Sophie by my side. Breakfast was awkward. Ethan was humming some pop song, Liam kept checking his phone, and Noah was scrolling through memes like nothing was happening. I tried to enjoy my birthday toast, but the tension clung to me like a heavy coat. "So, Soph," Ethan said suddenly, eyes glinting with mischief. "You ever had a crazy ex? Something, dramatic?" I felt my stomach twist. "Why are we talking about exes again?" I muttered, barely loud enough to mask my irritation. Liam laughed. "Just curious. Everyone has stories." "No, seriously," Ethan pressed, leaning back in his chair. "You seem intense about something. Should we be worried?" I opened my mouth but froze. My face flushed. "It's nothing," I said, forcing a smile. Soph looked at me sharply, raising an eyebrow. "Are they bothering you again?" I nodded subtly, unable to speak. My chest tightened. "Yeah, it's fine," I lied. Noah smirked. "Man, you're so serious. Lighten up, it's your birthday." Then Liam muttered something under his breath, loud enough for only me and Sophie to catch. "Not like hers is any better, though." I felt my hands clench. "What did you just say?" I asked, my voice tight. Soph's hand brushed mine under the table. "Ignore it," she whispered. "They're not worth it." I wanted to explode, to tell Liam exactly what I thought of his remark. But the words tangled in my throat. Was I overreacting? Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I was imagining insults. Overreacting? Ethan teased. "It's all in your head, man. Don't get so serious." I stared at my plate. "Maybe," I muttered, voice low. Liam smirked, oblivious, and started telling a story about some ex who had cheated on him in college. His tone was casual, almost proud. I felt a flicker of anger, but Sophie squeezed my hand, grounding me. "You're stronger than this," she whispered again, eyes meeting mine. "Don't let them get to you." I swallowed, nodding slightly. "Thanks, sophomore." "I appreciate that." Noah laughed at a joke Ethan made and nudged me. "See? Everything's fine. Just chill. Fine? I muttered under my breath. Fine isn't the word I'd use. Soph leaned closer, her voice soft but sharp. You're allowed to feel upset. They're insensitive, but that doesn't make you weak. Stand firm in your feelings. The room felt heavier after she said that, but in a strange way calmer too. Her words were like ice in the air, freezing the tension, making everyone hesitate before speaking again. Ethan coughed awkwardly, Liam avoided my eyes, and Noah just shrugged, pretending nothing happened. I realized something then. Trust was fragile. One careless word, one offhand joke, and the foundation of respect crumbled. I felt the weight of unspoken truths between us, the hidden motives behind their casual cruelty. But Sophie's presence reminded me that not everyone was like that. Not everyone would take cheap shots at the people I cared about. Let's just eat, I muttered finally, trying to reclaim my birthday mood. And maybe avoid the ex talk for, 10 minutes? Soph smiled faintly. Good idea. You deserve a peaceful birthday, at least for now. I nodded, letting her words settle in, feeling slightly safer, yet wary of the day ahead. I walked into the living room expecting the usual birthday chaos, but the laughter sounded sharper today. Liam was talking to some guy I barely knew, leaning close like he was sharing a secret. And he told me something really personal, Liam said, smirking. I mean, you'd never guess he'd do that. I froze. That tone, it could only mean one thing. What did you tell him? I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. Liam blinked, clearly surprised I'd noticed. Nothing serious. Just stuff. Stuff. I repeated, irritation and panic creeping in. You mean the thing I told you in confidence? He hesitated, eyes darting away. Well, it kind of came up and I might have mentioned it. My heart sank. You mentioned it? To him? My secret. Hey, calm down, Liam said, holding up his hands. It wasn't a big deal. Just some random joke. I wanted to scream. How could he treat my trust like a punchline? A joke? That's my private life you're laughing about. Sophie appeared behind me, placing a hand on my shoulder. Breathe, she whispered. He didn't mean to hurt you, but I can see why you're upset. I leaned against her, trying to steady myself. I feel exposed. Who do I even trust here? Ethan wandered past, oblivious. Yo, you okay? I just set up the new game console. Noah laughed from the corner. Man, he's overreacting. It's just a secret, relax. Overreacting? I snapped, glaring at him. It wasn't supposed to be shared with anyone. Not a joke, not a story, nobody. Liam looked guilty now, rubbing the back of his neck. I didn't think it would matter. I honestly forgot it was private until now. Forgot? I asked, my voice tight. You forgot it was private? You can't just forget trust, Liam. Soph rubbed my back gently. I've got you, she murmured. Secrets stay safe with me. Always. I exhaled, letting some of the anger ebb, though the sting remained. Thanks, sophomore. I needed that. The minor figure at the party, a friend of Ethan's, laughed nervously. Oh, I didn't mean to eavesdrop or anything. Just, wow, didn't expect that. I shook my head. It's not your fault, I said, trying to focus. This isn't about you. It's about the people I thought I could trust. Liam's eyes softened. I screwed up. I get it. I really do. I just didn't think it mattered. It mattered, I said firmly. And it still matters. Actions like this have consequences. Ethan shrugged, still absorbed in his game setup. Whatever, man. Don't take life too seriously. Noah rolled his eyes. Yeah, lighten up, birthday boy. It's just one slip. I felt Sophie's hand squeeze mine again. Don't let them make you doubt yourself, she said quietly. You know who you are and what matters. That's enough. I nodded, leaning into her support. I know. But it hurts to see how easily some people treat trust. Liam's guilt hung in the air, awkward and tense. Ethan and Noah carried on like nothing had happened, and I realized just how alone I could feel in a room full of people. Still, Sophie's loyalty reminded me that trust wasn't lost entirely. Some bonds were unbreakable, and she was proof. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying every moment of the day. Liam's careless words, Ethan's obliviousness, Noah's smirks, it all swirled around me like a storm I couldn't escape. Sophie shifted beside me, her breath slow and steady. I watched her sleep, marveling at how calm she looked while my thoughts spun out of control. Why do they have to be like that? I whispered, though I knew she wouldn't answer. I turned onto my side, facing her, my voice a mix of frustration and confusion. I trusted them. I thought I could count on them, And yet, here I am, feeling like everyone's against me. Sophie stirred slightly, mumbling in her sleep. I smiled weakly, wishing I could soak in her calmness instead of the chaos in my head. What am I supposed to do? I muttered. Do I confront Liam tomorrow? Or just walk away? The thought of walking away felt cowardly, but the idea of facing him head-on made my stomach twist. My mind raced through scenarios, each one ending with arguments, anger, or disappointment. I sighed, running my hands through my hair. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I should just let it go. But how can I let go when trust feels so fragile? Sophie murmured something unintelligible and I felt a spark of comfort. Even asleep, she had this grounding effect. Okay, I whispered to the darkness. I need a plan. I can't just sit here stewing. I have to decide how I handle this. I imagined confronting Liam, my voice firm. You betrayed my trust. That's not okay. But then I pictured his smug, oblivious face and my confidence faltered. Maybe detaching is better, I thought aloud. Keeping my distance, protecting myself emotionally before I get hurt again. I rolled over, facing the wall, trying to calm my racing thoughts. I can't let them control my emotions. Not anymore. I have Sophie and that's what matters. I need to focus on what I can protect, not what I can't. The room was silent except for her slow, steady breathing. It was oddly comforting, reminding me that not all connections were fragile. Some people, like Sophie, were steadfast, loyal, and real. I can't fix them, I whispered, my voice barely audible. I can only control my reactions, my boundaries. A pang of sadness hit me. It's just, I never expected betrayal from people I considered close. I thought friendship meant trust, but maybe I was naive. Sophie stirred again, murmuring something about tomorrow. I smiled faintly. Yeah, tomorrow, I echoed softly. I'll figure out tomorrow. I lay back, letting the quiet wash over me. My mind was still restless, but somehow, knowing she was there made the chaos more bearable. I could face Liam, I could protect myself, and I could survive this. And maybe, just maybe, I'd come out stronger on the other side. I found Liam in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, scrolling on his phone. My stomach tightened, but I knew I couldn't let it slide anymore. Liam, I said, voice firmer than I felt. He looked up, raising an eyebrow. Yeah. What's up? I need to talk to you. Now. He smirked. Oh? About what? My obvious charm. Cut the jokes, I snapped. This isn't funny. It's about what you said earlier, about my secret. His smirk faltered slightly. Seriously? That again? Yes, that again. I stepped closer. You exposed something I trusted you with. You made it a joke and you don't even seem to care. Liam shook his head. I didn't mean it like that. It was just, I don't know, a stupid slip. A stupid slip? I repeated, disbelief lacing my voice. Do you understand what you did? You broke my trust, Liam. That's not a joke. That's betrayal. He laughed nervously. Betrayal? Come on, don't be dramatic. I clenched my fist. Dramatic? I confided in you because I trusted you. And you threw that away for what? A laugh. Ethan appeared in the doorway, eyebrows raised. Whoa, what's going on here? No, Ethan, stay out of this, I said, though my voice shook. Noah wandered over, smirking. Man sounds intense. What did he do? Liam shrugged. See? They're overreacting. It wasn't a big deal. It is a big deal. I shouted, my heart pounding. It's a big deal when you treat someone's feelings like trash. Liam's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond immediately. Look, I messed up. I get it. I just didn't think it mattered that much. That's the problem, I said, stepping closer. You never think it matters. That's why you keep hurting people, Liam. That's your pattern. Sophie appeared behind me, crossing her arms. Her voice was calm but unyielding. Everyone stop. Let him speak. I looked at her, grateful. Thanks, I muttered. She turned to Liam. Do you understand the impact of your words? Or are you going to keep pretending it's nothing? Liam swallowed, finally showing a flicker of guilt. I didn't mean to hurt him, okay? I don't care what you meant, I said, voice rising again. Intent doesn't erase the damage. You've crossed a line and it's time you face that. Ethan scratched the back of his head. Maybe we should all calm down. Calm down? I echoed incredulously. No, calm down isn't an option. Not when trust is at stake. Noah shrugged. Man, you're intense. Can't you just let it go? Sophie stepped closer to me, her presence steadying my racing thoughts. Intensity isn't wrong. Protecting your boundaries isn't wrong. He needs to hear this and you need to say it clearly. I took a deep breath, focusing on her. Liam, you've hurt me. Not by accident, not by chance. You did it because you couldn't think beyond yourself. And I can't let that slide anymore. Liam opened his mouth, then closed it, clearly struck by the force in my words. The room went silent. Ethan and Noah looked uncomfortable, Liam looked guilty, and Sophie gave me a small, reassuring nod. For the first time, I felt both vindicated and frustrated. Vindicated because I finally stood up for myself. Frustrated because loyalty can only be demanded in small doses. Sometimes, it's simply earned. And in that silence, I realized this confrontation wasn't just about today. It was about drawing the line, defining what I would and wouldn't accept, and understanding my own worth. Sophie and I sat on the couch, the apartment unusually quiet after the earlier confrontation. Ethan and Liam had drifted into the other room, while Noah scrolled through his phone, pretending nothing happened. Can I tell you something? Sophie asked softly, her eyes serious. Of course, I said, leaning closer, curiosity piqued. She hesitated, then whispered, I've had people betray me too. People I trusted completely. And I reacted badly, sometimes pushing them away before I even gave them a chance. I blinked, caught off guard. You did? She nodded. Yeah. My ex, he told things about me to others. Small stuff at first, but it built up. I felt exposed, humiliated. I couldn't trust anyone for a long time. I felt my chest tighten. Her experience mirrored mine, yet she had carried it with such quiet strength. I didn't know. I mean, you never said anything before. I didn't want to burden anyone, she admitted, voice trembling slightly. But being honest now, I think it's important. Vulnerability isn't weakness. I learned that the hard way. I swallowed, feeling a mix of admiration and envy. I don't know if I could be that honest. It's scary. She smiled faintly. It is. But it's freeing too. That's why I wanted to tell you. I know what it feels like to be betrayed and to feel powerless. Just then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, hesitated, then answered. Hey Rachel, yeah, I'm just talking to him. Her friend's voice came softly through the speaker. Sophie, are you okay? Did you tell him? Yeah, Sophie said firmly. I told him everything. I think he needs to understand, vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. I listened, captivated. Sophie's friend spoke gently, offering perspective. You're doing the right thing, Sophie. Being honest builds trust even if it scares you. He'll see that. I felt my pulse quicken. Hearing her talk so openly, witnessing her courage, it stirred something in me but also highlighted my insecurities. Could I be as strong? Could I open up without fear? Sophie ended the call and looked at me. I wanted you to know that you're not alone in feeling betrayed or exposed. I get it. I've been there. I nodded slowly. I appreciate that. More than I can say. But hearing you, it also makes me realize how much I've held back, afraid to show weakness. Her hand found mine. There's strength in showing your feelings and trusting someone enough to be real. I know it's hard, but it's worth it. Noah glanced up from his phone. Sorry to interrupt, but, wow. That's deep. Ethan and Liam appeared from the other room, expressions unreadable. Liam's jaw tightened and Ethan avoided eye contact, a mix of discomfort and envy clear on their faces. I realized then that genuine honesty made people uneasy. Some admired it silently, others resented it. But Sophie, she embodied it. She had shown me that emotional vulnerability could be a shield, not a weakness. I squeezed her hand, feeling something shift between us. You've given me a lot to think about, sophomore. I want to try. To be more open, to trust more. She smiled softly. I'll be here. We'll figure it out together. And for the first time that evening, I felt lighter, like maybe confronting betrayal and opening up weren't weaknesses at all, but the start of something stronger. The apartment felt tense, the kind of silence that presses against your chest. Ethan lounged on the couch, smirking every time I walked past, while Noah hovered near the kitchen, shifting from foot to foot like he couldn't decide which side he was on. So, Ethan said casually, voice dripping sweetness, you finally realized you're too sensitive? Or are we still celebrating your birthday drama? I froze. Are you serious? He shrugged, leaning back. Just saying what everyone's thinking. You need to lighten up. Noah glanced at me nervously. Maybe he's right? I mean, it's not that serious. I clenched my jaw, taking a slow breath. Not that serious? You think my trust is a joke? Ethan raised his hands in mock surrender. Hey, I'm not joking. Just pointing out that you might be overreacting. I turned to Noah. And you? Are you just going to stand there and let them dismiss how I feel? Noah hesitated, eyes darting between us. I don't know. I don't want to pick sides. Picking sides. I repeated, my voice tight. This isn't about sides. It's about respect. Something you clearly don't understand. Sophie appeared behind me, calm and steady. Remember patience, she whispered. You don't have to fight every battle. Test them gently. Observe before reacting. I nodded subtly, letting her words guide me. I knew I had to be strategic. Anger could make things worse and I couldn't afford that, not today. Ethan, I said, lowering my voice, if you think dismissing me makes you clever, think again. I'm watching how far you're willing to go. His smirk faltered, but he didn't reply immediately. Oh, okay. Noted, birthday boy. I turned to Noah. And you? Do you support this behavior? Or are you finally going to say something? Noah shifted uncomfortably. I'm not sure. I mean, I get it, but I don't want conflict. Conflict isn't the problem, I said, keeping my tone steady. Indifference is. Not acting, not speaking, not standing for what's right, that's what hurts. Sophie squeezed my shoulder. You're doing this right. Subtle, calm, measured. Watch their reactions. Let them reveal themselves. I took a deep breath, scanning the room. Ethan avoided my eyes, clearly irritated, while Noah fidgeted, caught between loyalty and fear. I realized how fragile these friendships were. One slip, one careless word, and everything could crumble. You're both going to have to decide, I continued, voice calm but firm. Either you respect me or you keep showing me where your priorities lie. It's that simple. Ethan scoffed quietly. Fine. You're high horse. Happy? Better than letting things slide, I said, holding my ground. Noah finally spoke, voice shaky. I think I understand. I don't want to hurt you. I'll try to be better. Sophie nodded approvingly. See? Sometimes observation and calm resolve are stronger than confrontation. I exhaled slowly, feeling the tension ease slightly. The cracks in our friendship were visible now, but I knew who would stand by me and who wouldn't. And that knowledge, painful as it was, gave me power. For the first time, I realized navigating adult friendships wasn't about avoiding conflict. It was about understanding who could be trusted, who could be influenced, and who would inevitably disappoint. And with Sophie by my side, I was ready to face it all. That I was sitting at the table, trying to focus on a book, but the tension in the apartment made it impossible. Ethan was pacing, Liam was playing some loud video game, and Noah hovered nearby, shifting uneasily. Then it happened. You know, Noah said casually, leaning against the counter, maybe you're just too sensitive. I mean, everyone else moves on, so why can't you? I felt something snap inside me. My chest tightened, and a rush of frustration, anger, and exhaustion hit all at once. Too sensitive? I shouted, slamming my hand on the table. Too sensitive? I've held back more than you can imagine, and you think it's about sensitivity? Noah froze, eyes wide. I didn't mean. I barked. Do you have any idea how it feels to trust someone and have it thrown back in your face? To watch people you considered friends gossip, laugh, and dismiss everything you care about. Liam looked up from his game, uneasy. Whoa, calm down. Calm down? I repeated, my voice shaking. I've been calm for weeks. Holding everything in, biting my tongue, watching my own boundaries get trampled. And you say I'm too sensitive? Sophie stepped forward, placing her hand on my shoulder. Breathe, she said softly but firmly. I've got you. Just breathe and let it out without losing control. I inhaled sharply, letting her presence anchor me. It's just, I'm tired. Tired of pretending this doesn't hurt. Tired of pretending that their jokes and careless words don't cut deep. I can't anymore. Noah looked guilty now. I didn't know it was that bad. I just thought. You thought. I snapped. That my feelings were optional? That I just roll with it? That my trust didn't matter? Ethan leaned against the wall, eyes darting between us. Man, maybe tone it down a bit? No. I yelled, frustration spilling over. I'm done holding back. I'm done pretending that everything's okay when it's not. I feel betrayed, dismissed, and honestly, exhausted by all of you. Sophie's voice cut through the tension. Enough, she said, calm and unwavering. I won't let this turn into chaos. He's speaking his truth, and that's all that matters right now. I took another deep breath, nodding. Her presence made it possible to be honest without losing myself completely. Some bonds, I admitted, voice quieter, are just beyond repair. And that's okay. I need to accept that. Noah shifted uncomfortably. I didn't realize how much I hurt you. Maybe you didn't, I said, voice softening slightly, but now you know. And that knowledge has to mean something. Liam looked down at his hands, silent. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding my eyes. I realized the truth. Honesty exposed the cracks, forced reflection, and revealed who truly valued trust. Sophie squeezed my shoulder gently. You were brave today. Honest. That's worth more than their approval. I nodded, letting the tension slip slightly. Yeah. I guess honesty is the only way to survive this without losing myself. And in that moment, amid the awkward silence and unspoken apologies, I felt a strange sense of liberation. I had confronted my pain, and for the first time in days I could breathe without holding back. I watched from the couch as Ethan tried to impress some friends over video chat. His carefully rehearsed jokes fell flat, and he laughed nervously at his own punchlines. I couldn't help but smirk, though I reminded myself, this wasn't about revenge. Karma had a quiet way of balancing things. Noah, meanwhile, had forgotten an important deadline at work. He called in a panic, voice trembling. I can't believe I missed it. My boss is furious. I leaned back, hands folded. It was awkward watching them stumble, but there was no satisfaction in cruelty. Just a quiet acknowledgement that their actions had consequences. Maybe you should have thought about others before making me the punchline, I muttered under my breath. Sophie, sitting beside me, smiled softly. You don't need to say that. The universe has a way of teaching lessons without your involvement. I nodded, letting her words sink in. Yeah, it's just strange watching it all happen without doing anything. Noah paced, phone pressed to his ear, explaining yet another mishap. I know. It's my fault. I just forgot. Ethan muttered something about a failed online challenge, frowning at the screen. Why did nobody respond the way I expected? I sipped my coffee, feeling the subtle satisfaction of justice unfolding naturally. Not gloating, just observing. It's like, the cracks in their behavior are catching up to them, I whispered to Sophie. She nodded, eyes calm and steady. Exactly. And you're here, unaffected, because you stayed true to yourself. That's the point. A minor neighbor incident happened next. Ethan tripped over a hose while showing off his new skateboard. He swore loudly, turning bright red as neighbors peeked from their windows. I chuckled quietly, then immediately felt guilty for even thinking it. See, Sophie said, nudging me gently. Life corrects itself. You don't need to push it. Let them learn. I exhaled, realizing she was right. For weeks, I'd wanted some grand gesture of revenge, some perfect moment where they would finally realize the hurt they caused. But this, observing natural consequences, was more powerful, more satisfying. Noah slumped onto the couch, groaning. I can't believe everything's going wrong at once. You made choices, I said softly, not cruelly. Choices have effects. That's all. Sophie leaned her head on my shoulder. And you're here, watching without letting bitterness take root. That's strength. I smiled faintly, letting the warmth of her presence settle me. It was liberating, knowing I didn't need to act on anger to feel vindicated. I glanced at my roommates again. Ethan fuming, Noah sulking, Liam quietly hiding a minor social embarrassment, and felt an unexpected peace. They would learn. They would stumble. And I could remain untouched, simply because I chose self-respect over vengeance. Sometimes, I murmured to Sophie, the quietest justice is the sweetest. She kissed my temple. And the most lasting. Remember that. I nodded, letting the room's chaotic energy fade around me, feeling steady, resilient, and quietly content. Karma had its course, and I didn't need to interfere. I walked into the living room feeling strangely lighter, as if the argument with Noah had burned away something I'd been carrying for too long. Morning, I said, trying to sound normal. Noah looked up, startled. You're up early. Yeah, I replied, grabbing a mug. Figured I should start doing things on my own terms. He blinked. On your own terms? What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm not bending myself around everyone else anymore. The firmness in my voice surprised even me. Sophie stepped in from the hallway. That's good, she said gently. You deserve that. Noah shifted uncomfortably. If this is about yesterday, it's not about yesterday, I cut in. It's about everything I kept letting slide. He opened his mouth, then closed it like he couldn't find the right words. Sophie glanced between us. Just listen, she told him. You might learn something. I exhaled slowly. I kept making space for people who wouldn't make space for me. I kept shrinking so no one else had to feel uncomfortable. I'm done doing that. Noah rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't realize it was that serious. That's the problem, I said. None of you realized anything unless it directly affected you. From the kitchen entrance, Liam appeared with a half-eaten granola bar. Okay, what's going on? Growth, Sophie answered. Real growth. I nodded. I'm not feeding arguments anymore. I'm not carrying guilt that doesn't belong to me. And I'm not waiting for people to treat me right. Liam raised an eyebrow. So what, you're above us now? No, I said calmly. I'm just above the way things used to be. Sophie smirked. That's the kind of confidence I've been waiting to see. I felt warmth rise in my chest. Thanks. I'm finally breathing without apologizing for it. Noah sank into the couch. I don't know if you're angry or different. Different, I replied. Anger fades. Growth doesn't. Liam scoffed. Sounds dramatic. Sophie stepped closer to me. It's not dramatic. It's healthy. I appreciated the firmness in her tone. I'm not trying to prove anything, I said. I'm trying to live without drowning. Noah stared at the floor. I guess I messed up more than I thought. You did, I said bluntly. But it's not about blaming you. It's about reclaiming myself. Sophie folded her arms. That's the part you all keep missing. Liam threw his hands up. So what are we supposed to do now? Nothing, I answered. I'm not asking for behavior reforms or apologies. I'm just changing the way I respond. Noah looked genuinely confused. You don't want us to fix anything? I want you to do whatever you want, I said. I'm just not compensating for your choices anymore. Sophie smiled proudly. That's what independence sounds like. Her support steadied me. I don't hate any of you, I continued. But I'm done centering you in places you don't belong. Liam shrugged. Guess you're the strong one now. I've always been strong, I replied. I just stopped hiding it. Noah leaned forward. So where does that leave us? Wherever you want to be, I said. Just not at the cost of my peace. Sophie rested a hand on my shoulder. That's called balance. For the first time I felt the truth of it. I'm choosing emotional distance when necessary. Not out of spite, out of self-respect. Noah exhaled shakily. I'm jealous, honestly. You sound free. I am, I said softly. And anyone who stays in my life will have to adjust to that shift. Sophie grinned. They'll figure it out. Maybe, I replied. But whether they do or not, I'm still moving forward. And for once, nothing felt heavier than it needed to be. I was halfway through making tea when Liam appeared in the doorway. Hey, he said quietly. Can we talk? I hesitated. Depends on what kind of talk. The uncomfortable kind, he muttered. But the necessary kind. Ethan followed him in, looking even more nervous. Yeah, we need to say some things. I set the kettle down. All right. Speak. Liam rubbed his hands together. I messed up. Not just once. Repeatedly. Ethan nodded. Same. I acted like everything was fine even when it wasn't. I crossed my arms. So what changed now? Liam sighed. You changed. And it made us look at ourselves. Ethan added, seeing you stand up for yourself, it hit harder than any argument. I studied their faces. So this is guilt? It's honesty, Liam said. For once. What exactly are you apologizing for? I asked. Ethan swallowed. For the passive-aggressive stuff. For avoiding conversations. For making you carry tension we didn't want to face. Liam shifted uncomfortably. And for the way I spoke to you all those times. I didn't think my words mattered. I was wrong. I leaned against the counter, unsure how to feel. Why now? Because Sophie told us the truth, he admitted. She said you weren't shutting us out. You were protecting yourself. Ethan nodded. She made us realize we pushed you to that point. I took a slow breath. And what do you want from me? Closure, Liam said. Not forgiveness. Just a chance to say it. Ethan added softly, and maybe for you to know we didn't dislike you. We were just dealing with our own crap poorly. I felt a tug of sympathy despite myself. What crap? Liam hesitated, then spoke. I get jealous. Easily. When someone else grows faster than I do, I lash out. You were changing and it made me feel small. Ethan exhaled shakily. And I hate conflict. So I avoided until I'm basically suffocating. You scared me a little with how direct you became. I blinked. I scared you? Not in a bad way, he said quickly. In a, I can't hide from this anymore way. I ran my fingers along the edge of the counter, trying to absorb their honesty. And what do you expect me to do with all this? Whatever feels right, Liam said. We're not trying to manipulate you. Ethan nodded. We just didn't want to pretend nothing happened. Sophie walked in quietly, almost as if she'd been waiting. You don't owe them anything, she said gently. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation. Only the truth. I glanced at her. I'm trying to figure out what my truth is. Then say it out loud, she encouraged. I looked back at Liam and Ethan. I'm still hurt. I'm calmer now, but the sting hasn't disappeared. We expected that, Ethan said. But, I continued, I also don't want to carry resentment anymore. It's heavy and I'm tired. Liam's shoulders dropped. So you're letting it go? I'm releasing it, I said. But I'm not inviting it back. Ethan nodded slowly. Fair. And I accept your apology, I added. Not because everything is fixed, but because I want closure too. Liam's expression softened. Thank you. Sophie moved beside me, her presence grounding. Closure isn't the same as getting back to how things were, she reminded gently. I know, I said. And honestly, I don't want things the old way. Ethan looked down. Will we still be friends? Different friends, I said. Or distant ones? I'm not sure yet. Liam sighed but didn't argue. At least this feels honest. It does, I admitted. And that's enough for today. Sophie placed a hand on my back. You made the choice for yourself, not for them. I did, I said quietly. And for the first time, closure didn't feel like losing something. It felt like finally setting something down. I woke up to Sophie nudging my shoulder gently. Birthday boy, she whispered. You're officially older and allegedly wiser. I laughed quietly. Allegedly? I thought I'd earned a full upgrade by now. You earned emotional patches, not a whole software update, she teased. I stretched, feeling strangely peaceful. Still better than where I was a year ago. She sat beside me, pulling her knees up. Do you ever think about that night? The argument, the chaos, everything that fell apart. All the time, I admitted. But it doesn't hurt anymore. It just feels distant. That's called growth, she said proudly. I watched you crawl out of your own shadow. I smiled. Yeah, but you didn't just watch. You dragged me sometimes. She shook her head. I guided you. You walked. I stood and headed to the kitchen with her trailing behind. Do you think they'll message today? I asked quietly. Liam and Ethan, she replied. Maybe. Maybe not. Does it matter? I opened the fridge thinking. Honestly? Not really. She nodded approvingly. That's the answer I was hoping to hear. The kettle started humming and I leaned against the counter. Remember how scared I used to be of conflict? I couldn't even stand up for myself. You stand up so naturally now, she said. Not aggressively. Just firmly. I guess I got tired of shrinking. Sophie smiled softly. You stopped letting people write your story for you. My phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't have to look, the preview was enough. It's Liam, I said. Are you going to check it? She asked. Maybe after breakfast. I don't feel that urgency anymore. She shrugged. Healthy detachment. I love to see it. We sat at the table with steaming mugs. Do you ever miss the old dynamics? I asked. Some parts, she said. Not the stress. Not the tension. But sometimes the laughter, yes. Same, I admitted. But it's weird, once the dust settled I realized who actually cared. Who cares now? She asked. You do, I said instantly. And that's more than enough. She raised her mug. Happy birthday to emotional clarity. I clinked mine against hers. To new beginnings. After breakfast we went for a walk. The air was cool and I felt lighter with every step. A year ago I thought everything was falling apart, I said. But maybe it was falling into place. Sophie nudged my arm. That's what happens when you stop fighting growth. I used to think karma meant revenge, I said. Something dramatic, painful. But it's more quiet. She grinned. Silent karma. My favorite genre. I laughed. It's satisfying though. Watching people learn from their own choices without me doing anything. Exactly, she said. You stepped back. Life stepped in. We reached a bench overlooking the park. I sat and breathed deeply. Do you ever think I overreacted? No, she said firmly. You reacted exactly as someone hurt would react. And then you healed. That's the important part. I nodded slowly. And the others? They're still figuring themselves out, she said. You just got there first. I chuckled. Guess I'm the mature one now. Oh please, she scoffed. You still forget where you put your keys. I said emotionally mature, I clarified. Not domestically. She laughed so loudly I couldn't help joining. Then she asked, what's your biggest lesson from the whole year? I thought for a moment. That I'm allowed to choose who gets close to me. I don't have to keep everyone. She smiled slowly. That's the lesson I wanted you to learn. And you? I asked. That loyalty should support growth, she said. Not stop it. We watched people pass by, strangers, couples, quiet walkers. It felt symbolic somehow. I'm not afraid of starting over anymore, I said. You already started over, she reminded me. Today is just the celebration. I rested my head briefly on her shoulder. Thank you for staying. She touched my hand gently. Thank you for becoming someone worth staying for. For the first time in a long time I felt complete. Not because everything was perfect but because I had survived, learned, and grown. New year, I whispered. New me. Sophie squeezed my hand. And the old wounds finally at peace. I exhaled softly. Happy birthday to that.